All righty, we are good to go. So I know Chris. Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm the Director of Distance Learning, which is a new position for Triton. Also an adjunct instructor. I teach graduate courses at Michigan State and Dominican, and occasionally also National Louis. So some of the information you're going to see today comes from that world as well. Thank you. So building a syllabus, this is not news to any of you that it is a struggle to get students to read the syllabus, whether they're undergrad, they're grad students, whatever. You can see there are a ton of different memes and different things that people will do to try and coax them into doing it. Sometimes they will even break out the big guns to get the job done. Well, I'm going to go back to that. This one was fascinating. This was back in 2021. There was actually a professor that put a $50 bill in a locked combination with a little note saying, hey, congrats, you read the syllabus, just let me know, that you got this, send me your name, who you are. And he just put the code to the locker combination in his syllabus and went back on the last day of the semester, and there his cash spent. Nobody read it all the way through. And then sometimes they will actually go ahead and pull out big guns to persuade the kids to read. All right, anything to get them to pay attention to you, right? So we're going to break this conversation down into 4 different areas today. Talk about what the syllabus requirements are here at Triton. We have to start with that so we can get that out of the way. Hit some different ideas to present your syllabus to students. Talk about some of the different things that could be included beyond just the basic requirements. And then lastly, get into some tips. So the requirements, everybody at Triton, thanks to board policy 6080, does have to have specific content within their syllabi, all of them. The one thing that is recommended here are the general educational outcomes. Everything else is a requirement. Hopefully everybody knows that there is also a link to a syllabus template. You don't have to use it, but if you want to use it, that's available to you. And I'll give you this slide deck, so I have links throughout. Did you all know there's a course expectations page on Triton's website as well? And that, let's see if it'll take me there. Oh, here. The course expectations page is very simple. However, with it, you can see that it does give you some statements that should appear in all of your syllabi, so just keep that in mind as well. And again, here's a link to the template. If you have not seen it, actually I'm not going to log into SharePoint. It's on SharePoint. And then also, this is another one. Yeah, see, it'll make me sign in. Hopefully you've seen it. It's academic support resources. So all of those can help you in getting this required information out. So I have a question for you. I know this is something that's new to me. I have not seen this at the universities I teach at. The recommended, however, not required syllabus receipt. Do any of you require this? Do you do?
I used to do it in similar to that, but now I have it like something different in the survey where, like, I tell them it's your responsibility to be able to read it and you're looking at this. So I have like a syllabus survey, and I kind of have embedded some of this language in there.
Okay.
It's no longer the same document.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I used to use that.
Gabrielle, you said you use it too?
Yeah, I use it as one of my exit ticket type things for my classes. So that's one of their first assignments.
Gotcha. And at UIC, have you seen it?
Yeah, a lot of them will do that. Or they'll have a quiz that's required, kind of like this. So
Okay.
The first quiz will be aspects of the syllabus, their responsibilities, things like that.
Yeah.
I've only ever done it for online classes because that's where I show. Because I'm still old school, I split it over the first week of class now to kind of scale back on the first day dump. But I give them paper copy of the syllabus and I go through it with them. So if they were in class, I know that we went over it and I know that they know.
Gotcha.
But for my online students,
Interesting.
Our
Okay.
department's like banning us from being able to print again, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. I print all my stuff at
Yeah.
the public library in my town because I'm like, I don't want
That's
to
a
get to
great
the
idea.
printer or get to the
I hadn't thought of that.
room and they're not allowing it.
Yeah, this is interesting. Like I said, I haven't, and again, my context is graduate.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than undergrad. But yeah, I don't have a positive or a negative opinion about it.
I think it started because there were some complaints from the students, the language. Oh, we don't know where it is. The instructor never told us. And like, there were a couple of them over, I think, the semester.
Gotcha.
And so they were like, okay, you know what, like, it is in the syllabus, so, oh, where's the syllabus, and things like that.
Okay.
Like, so it should be, oh, I was absent for the first day, or I
Right.
registered late. So it was like, just like have it somewhere embedded in there, like, some kind of either make them write it, or you have it as a
Yeah.
scavenger, or
Right.
like, some kind of activity where, like,
Yes.
they are referring back to it. At least they have to like glance at the syllabus or find the syllabus,
Sure.
so that it doesn't come across that, like, and or the instructor puts it on
Right.
blackboard and where it is accessible in in-person courses.
Students. Okay, they never change. All right, so let's get into some different ideas of things that you can
Well, I
do.
think they were like the instructors too, which had out the hard copy of the syllabus. The student was absent, never got it.
yeah.
That makes sense. And I've cringed a little bit. I've overheard some conversations where literally, I mean, here, where I've heard some people be like, it was in the syllabus. I told them to, and I was kind of like a little cringy, like we're supposed to be here to help them.
Yeah.
So some different ideas. Anyway, let's get into it. So the first one is a liquid syllabus, and this term comes from Michelle Pacansky-Brock. She does professional development at the community college level in California. She made this very famous. She did it before the pandemic, but it became extremely famous once we got into the pandemic, where she talked about her liquid syllabus should be public, mobile friendly, and available before the course begins. Now, one thing that Pacansky-Brock pushes is she likes an entire website for a syllabus. You can see it starts out, your basic name. She always advocates for instructors to start out with a welcome video, contact information, and then I know it's short, and I did mention I'll give the presentation to you when we're done today. But she has all these additional pages: course essentials, goals, resources, grading, policies, and so on. Her big push is that it should be mobile friendly, because we know that students are accessing things on their device. We're accessing things on our device. It should be pushed out before the course begins, and it should be public so that it's not behind a password protected site like a Blackboard, because often before a course begins, they can't always get in. It's very interesting. The last couple years, Dominican has turned off my ability to start the course even a couple days early. And I always open my courses every week, the shells 2 days prior to the day they're supposed to be released. And on that first week, I can't. So I do something similar to this, but let me put an asterisk on that. I never just give them something like this and that's it. I always have the full official university syllabus, every little 10, 12, 15 page section that you have to have in print. And part of that is an accessibility issue. If you do something like this is fantastic. You have to have a print-only copy that is accessible to students that might not be able to get to things like this. So I always have that available. That's normally, it depends. In Michigan State, we use D2L, so it's there. We do a Google Doc for that, and Dominican, it's Canvas. I direct it, put it, drop it in directly in. But I also have supplemental things. So with mine, it's a one-page website. It does not have everything that's in the syllabus. I go through and I say, this is the stuff that I think my students want to know before my courses begin. They want to know how to get to me, the description, what are our topics, The course learning objectives, let's be real, they're not reading those, but some of them might. I put them in there anyway. They want to know how they're going to be graded and if there's a late policy. They want to know the schedule. I also include the community expectations and the academic honesty and plagiarism. Oh, I got to put a Y on that. But again, you see it, it's one pager. So I'm not a huge fan of the entire website. So, yeah.
Is there any particular website you use?
This one is Canvas. Canvas is free for educators, completely free. Or Canva. I'm sorry, Canva. Yeah. Completely free for educators. So sign up with your EDU Triton account. Canva, you could do a one-page website. You could do presentations. You could create infographics, flyers. It's amazing. One thing I actually did, and I presented this last time, in the course that I'm running right now, I'm teaching a course on social media and emerging technologies as an additional way to interact, quote unquote, with the students, because it's asynchronous online. All of my courses are online. I created in Canva polls that have to do with whatever topic we're talking about, and I just have them embedded right in each module. I don't take them for a grade. I don't do anything with them, but sometimes I'll, be like, oh, 10 of you said this, in the poll or things like that. But this, Canva. This is another example. You can make them visually appealing. This one I love. This is an older one. You see it looks like a newsletter. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Students, when they see a 12 to 15 page text only, they're not going to read it. Because traditionally, they're negative, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But I love this in the way of course policies are in the way of Q&A. What are the best ways for me to get to the professor? I missed class. What should I do? Can I bring my phone or can I bring my laptop? What if I need accommodations? Yeah, we can have all this in little block text. They're not going to want to find it, but putting it in Q&A is just more friendly. So check out these two examples. Super fun. Even though this one is very old, it's from 2011, it's still 100% relevant today. Fundamentals of biological anthropology. Just take a look at it. Things are chunked differently. There's graphics that are fun. You could see the attendance headline, in-class activities. So students can very easily not only find what they need to find, it's just fun, and it looks engaging. And let me tell you something, when students see something like this, even if it's subconsciously, they're thinking you're funner than you might actually be. And they're thinking the class might be open and friendly, okay? And then this other one is in the form of an infographic. And again, in infographic, you can make this in Canva. But you can see in here, we've got the name of it, we've got the schedule, the office hours, required text. It's just a friendly looking document that students can access on their mobile device, and they might be more willing to read. Audio files. So have any of you used Notebook LM yet? So Notebook LM is Google's, it's an artificial intelligence program that Google owns, and it's at notebooklm.google.com. Basically what you could do with it, this up here is your dashboard. This is the interface of it. You can take documents, upload your documents, and then you can ask Notebook LM to use only your documents. You can have a conversation with it. So for example, if you've got a 100-page union contract that you don't necessarily want to read, all 100 pages, you can pop it in and you can ask questions, and it will find the information and give you the questions. It can also create a study guide, a briefing doc, an FAQ, who doesn't want that, or a timeline of the resources. But here's one of the greatest features of it, and I'll play the beginning of it for you. It can create an audio file that sounds like a podcast between two co-hosts about whatever document you put in. So in my case, this spring, I put in my syllabus, I put in my norms for communication, which I'll show you as well, and I put in my course map, and I hit audio overview. And it created, I want to say it generated, this one might have been 15 minutes, so it was a little too long. I'll play the beginning of it so you could hear the interface. It created an audio file about my upcoming course. And again, what I do is when I send out a week before my course begins, my email of this is what you need, we're going to get started. Here's a visual syllabus. I send them the copy of that visual syllabus, and I send them the audio file because they take the bus, they're cleaning their house, they're driving in the car. They can listen to an audio file that might get them excited about the course content. And here's the beginning of it. It takes a second to get going, and I'll only play like the first 20 seconds so you can hear the interaction between the two co-hosts, but it's insane because this is all artificial intelligence. And this is for my social. Seriously, I didn't have to do anything except upload my syllabus and click generate audio.
And it created a dialogue of people.
Yes. Isn't that bizarre? And yeah, my husband, who's not in education, he was totally freaked out. This isn't right. And he's, you know, he's right, but it's cool.
Does it actually like explain the points or give the synopsis of your syllabus, or it's more of a general discussion?
It will pull out individual things. Let me see if I can just catch it like a little bit in the middle of it. Yeah, it'll pull out just, again, based on the documents I uploaded, my syllabus, my norms, and my course outline. See if it pops in. It's pulling content out of my course outline. Now that came up because I put the course outline in and it was separated by modules. So they could hear everything that was in each module. Isn't that insane? And again, what did it do? You know, I'm not quizzing my students on this. I'm not even asking them to listen to it. I'm giving them a third modality to find out more about my course. They can read the full 15-page text-only syllabus. They can look at the one-page visual website, or they can listen to it. And this is all before they even get to me the very first day. Polling questions, some of you mentioned that as well. You'll see when I give you the slide deck, you can click on these and they should take you to the sources. You can do these in person, asking questions about key syllabus ideas. You can do it in class with them, or you could do it online. You know, some people do this for points, some people do it for extra credit. It's really versatile. Annotated syllabi. So these are very interesting. With these, and I've got some ideas for you, essentially what you're doing is you are allowing the students to mark up your syllabus, to question things, to give new recommendations. This is great for English, something to think about as well. And again, this might be an opening prompt saying, you know, we're going to annotate this by asking clarifying questions, sharing opinions about readings and assignments. noting confusions and uncertainties and so on. One thing to keep in mind with undergraduates, you do want to seed it. You want to give them some prompts. So in these particular cases, the examples I'm showing you, these were done in Google Docs, because in Google Docs, it's very easy to create comments along the side. You can do it in Microsoft Word as well. It's a little bit bumpier.
They like Google Docs better also because they can do it anonymously. I found when we do the shared Microsoft Word, it tags their names on it, and they tend to be more resistant or more hesitant, especially on activities like this. That anonymity works.
So
really,
would you
really
prefer that they're anonymous?
I think if it gets more of them to contribute, then yeah. And for a syllabus thing where some students might be more hesitant, and it's the beginning of the semester, they don't know each other, they don't know me.
That's a great idea.
I like anonymity for that.
That's a great suggestion. I hadn't thought about that. I like it. Okay, so this is an example of one also that was given to me in the pandemic by an instructor at University of Minnesota as well. You can see she's got her course information here, and then here she started to seed it. On the other page, I'll show you where she seeded it with one. But in this particular case, Ubuntu, a student is saying, hey, is this something we need to know about? And the student is basically saying, answer this, before I figure out if I have to go do my own research on this. Is this really important for the class for us to know? There are some other replies that were hidden because these are just screen grabs of the actual document. I'd love to talk to the class more about what's the best solution for everybody learning in person or on Zoom. Can I take the time to talk about this? She talks about it as well, telling them when they'll be able to. This is an example of one she seeded. She highlighted one particular expectation and said, hey, this is an interesting guideline. So this leads me to believe it's a course she didn't develop. She's teaching someone else's. And she's saying it's interesting, because our course is going to ask personal questions. What should count and what shouldn't count? And she gives the students an opportunity to respond to that. In this particular case, where it says not to be shared, because when you're commenting, it'll highlight an area. And this student said, I don't like how this is worded. I've had professors that have had discussion boards for memes. They're talking about uploading personal content. I feel that the way this is worded takes away from the true value of the discussion and so on and so forth. Here's the thing. You don't have to accept all of their suggestions. But by annotating and allowing them to dig in, not only are you making them read it, but you're giving them some opportunities to feel like they are contributing and like they're part of the conversation. So it's something to think about. There could be some that you say, some areas you say this part is non-negotiable. I'll answer any questions you have if there's any misconceptions, but we can't change this. Other ideas, Easter eggs. So Easter eggs are hidden messages that you would put in your syllabus to get students to respond in some way. So for example, that $50 bill, the professor that put the code in the syllabus, this has an Easter egg in it. The letters are very small, and so I don't know if you can see them here, but you can see there's a series of letters that are in red. And if you were able to go through them, they would spell out send a meme. And then whoever sent a meme to the professor A would know that they read the syllabi, and B, they might give them some sort of reward. With Easter eggs, there are numerous different possibilities. I just went to Gemini, which is Google's AI program, and said, hey, give me some ideas for Easter eggs to get students to read a syllabus in college. And there could be just ones that you either give a reward for, such as, the first person to email me with the subject line, will receive 2 bonus points on the first exam. This isn't like at the top of the syllabus. This is buried. That's what makes it an Easter egg. It's somewhere where you think they might not necessarily go to read. In this one, this would be up front. Somewhere in this document, there's a secret word. Mention this word during our first class for a small treat. If you bring something particular, you'll get a free homework pass. I thought that was a good one. And name of the university's mascot, email me the answer for a virtual high five and my appreciation. No one's going to do that one. But hey, it's a fun idea. Other ones, if you want them to do an action, some action-oriented options for you as well. You can say basically, on page 3, there's a sentence that begins with the word important. What's the third word of the sentence? Email it to me or include it in your first assignment. So you can, give them things that they have to do as well. Interesting thing to tie it to your course content. There's a link hidden within the required materials section. Clicking it will lead you to a fun fact about whatever topic, chemistry, English, so on. Just make sure you're sending them. You can Rickroll them. Does everybody know what Rickrolling is? So Rickrolling is Rick Astley, the Never Gonna Give You Up. There's a whole thing, excuse me, where you can make somebody click on a link and it sends them to that video, and it's kind of like a gag. So fun things to do. And then some other suggestions as well, just fun ones. If you see the phrase invisible unicorn, know that you're paying close attention. And again, for extra credit, draw a picture of your favorite mythical creature and bring it to my office. So just some fun things to do, just to get them comfortable, because normally the syllabus happens at the very beginning of the course. So this will, kind of tip them off a little bit to your personality. Things to keep in mind, if you do Easter eggs in your syllabi, keep it low stakes. Please don't make it something that they're going to lose points if they don't do it. Don't make it punitive. Make it very clear to them. Consider the students, so you're going to tailor your message based on what you know about your student population. Don't make it too tricky. And then also make sure you're prepared for responses, because if they catch on, you're going to get extra emails or extra office visits or so on. If you do something like an Easter egg, do mix it up every semester, because they do talk to each other. And they might, give answers to people in the next section. Another example, you can create a screencast of your syllabus. This is something that students, could watch on their mobile device. Hopefully you wouldn't make it password protected, so they can get to it right away. They can listen to it on a commute, doing the dishes, whatever. And I'll just play the first few minutes. This is one for a math class. So you can see she's actually made a PowerPoint presentation of her syllabus, and she's just narrating it. Some other things that you can do. You can actually build your syllabus with your students if you have that type of time and you want to do that on your first day. A scavenger hunt, asking them to find individual things. You can ask them as either extra credit or as a grade to create a visual representation, whether it's a concept map or a sketch note. You can do it as a jigsaw activity where you put students in groups of 3 to 4, and you give them each different sections, and they basically tell each other what the important things were that they read about the syllabus. I showed you an example of creating it more like an FAQ. And then you can also create a module if you're doing this online, say in Blackboard, whether it's face-to-face class and you're just putting it online as well. But you can have individual pages for all of the things that Triton requires in the syllabus. That's another option. By breaking it up like this, they're more likely to go just to the specific information that they want to know. And they're more likely to use it because sometimes if you've got a 15-page document, which again, for accessibility purposes, make it available. An alternative is if they just want to quickly go to the grading process, they've got something like this, they can go right to that section. Other things, is there anything else that any of you have done that you found has worked? Nothing fabulous. It's okay.
So just a survey on forms, Microsoft Forms, or like which they have to read the syllabus to
Yeah.
enter the prompts, and they get the extra credit points of all of it. So like the first week of the syllabus, so it's kind of one of the requirements that they have to finish in order to like proceed that kind of.
Yeah.
Sometimes I create, like for my classes, like a 20-question shell that students can use a Google form to, so I can give them like a little survey in the beginning of class, so that I want them to answer 20 questions about themselves, or if they have, anticipate any holidays, or something coming up, or if they're involved in athletics. So they can kind of answer a bunch of things about themselves, or maybe respond to a couple of prompts about the syllabus.
Okay.
In that, if they look at this section, does this apply to you, something like that. But having that shell open, then if I want to do a little survey, I don't have to create a poll necessarily. I can shoot them the questions, and they can go to my QR code and just answer. It's 10 or 15 questions. Like they just fill in whatever they want, and then if they do 10, I use like 10 as a minimum.
Okay.
So once I give them a 10-question quiz, if I want to do it like that,
Yeah.
and it goes to a Google, it goes to the Google Excel version, like
Right.
spreadsheet for me
Yeah.
automatically, so I can see everything at once.
Nice. Good ideas. Thank you. All right, so let's talk about the contents. So we had all those requirements, things that would go into a syllabus. There are other things that you can put in that will make it more user-friendly for your students. The first one talking about the tone and creating a learner-centered syllabus. You want to, again, I should back up and say our job as educators is to help the students, not to continuously punish them, or basically be over them. So we need to be very careful with the tone that we're using. There has been research, and if anyone's interested, I can dig up in my notes the actual names of the papers, but research that indicates that positively impacts students' perception of the instructor if the tone is set nicely and it's not talking down to the student. It can lead to higher motivation and engagement because it makes the professor seem more approachable. There's a specific focus on the learner's needs and experiences. And then finally, again, it doesn't focus on all the negatives. So something to keep in mind. Resource for you later, but the bottom line is tone means everything. And I'm going to show you 3 examples that came out of one of the resources that I have linked for you that just shows you little tweaks with little words can change the tone. So this is one on office hours. So in this case, this might be a syllabus statement. You need to contact me outside of office hours. You may email me, call my office, or contact the department, or leave a message. Is this a yay, a positive, or a nay, a negative?
Sounds gatekeeper.
It is a negative. And again, this is something that I might even have in mind as well. But this is how you can make it more learner-centered. I welcome you to contact me outside of class and student hours. You may email me, call my office, or contact the department and leave a message. Some of you might say, don't contact me out of office. That's tough. I'm the director of online learning. I look at a lot of course shells and so on. And by and large, most shells that I see, people say, I will email you or answer your emails Monday through Friday. And part of me, and again, I'm teaching 19 students in one of my courses, and we have 26 in the other course I've got with the co-teacher. Students are working, they're doing other things. Sometimes they're doing their work on the weekend. I'm not going to not respond to something over the weekend. I know it's a personal preference, but again, having something like this, if you say, oh, you can contact me outside of class and so on. One thing I tend to say in my communications with my students, I phrase it similar to this, but I say, I have a full-time job outside of this course. So if you do, text me, or not text me, I don't give them my phone number, believe it or not. If you email me throughout the day, I might not get to it right away because I do have a full-time job. So just being honest and transparent with them. Here's another one. You should attend every class, but extenuating circumstances arise that can make this difficult. If you cannot attend a class, please let me know. If you miss more than 3 classes during the semester, You may be overextended and should drop the class per the university attendance policy. Positive or negative? Nobody wants to answer because they don't want to be wrong. This, believe it or not, they say is positive, and I'll show you the difference between them. The language here, you may be overextended and should drop. This is what it would look like normally. I will drop you from the class roster. That's the language that doesn't make it learner-centered. It makes it top-down. Even if you're going to drop them, you can put in the language that, hey, you might be overextended. I had a situation like that this semester, and I didn't say I will drop you, and I didn't say you should drop, but I did say you've missed a lot. I don't know if you can come back on this. You might want to have a conversation with your advisor and consider, And then one more. For most students, exams will take approximately 45 minutes to complete, but you will have the full class time meeting. And I'll just go ahead and answer so you don't have to tell me. This one is an iffy one. That's a hard one. Technically, this isn't learner-centered. You would have putting in the words, please take your time. And remember that you'll have the full class time. That makes it a little bit more like, I'm here to help you. Some other things that you can include in there. Now, this one came from Tori Trust. She's amazing. She is a professor at University of Massachusetts Amherst. She is incredibly sharing, giving, open. All of her, this came, and I've got a link to one of her documents in the notes for you. She freely shares so many resources that she creates. This is an example of a statement that's in her syllabus that is learner-centered. Just basically saying learning isn't easy, learning in the midst of a global pandemic, 2022, climate change and increasing natural disasters, mass shootings, political, social upheaval, civil rights movements can seem impossible. I understand there may be days, hours, moments where you don't feel like learning or engaging in class. I hope that you'll find the courage to communicate with me. I'm committed to providing a learning experience that is inclusive, flexible, and meaningful. I need you to commit to prioritizing your well-being, asking for help and accommodations to support your learning, being willing to have tough conversations in class, and so on. This is a class I would want to attend because this tells me that if I'm having a bad day and I say, can I get an extension on this, that my professor might be more willing. I, as a student, might be more willing to communicate with my professor and let her know if something is coming up that's going to affect this as well. Related to this, in the last presentation I gave on community of inquiry and presence in online learning with students, one of the things that I talked about, let me think, I just lost my train of thought, was, oh shoot, what was it that just made me think of that? Hours, was I have in a number of different courses an About Me section, and in the About Me section that the students fill out, one of the questions I ask is there anything that you have going on that might cause you to miss class or interfere with your learning? And that's so important, and it's so honest because not all students are going to tell you that stuff ahead of time. In this particular case, I had a student say, my dad's in hospice. I might have to go home, just so you know. I gotcha. So, when she's late on stuff, I'm not immediately marking her late or where's your work? Your work is late. I'm checking in. My tone is a little bit better because I know. And her dad did pass last Friday. So again, we're nearing the end of the semester and I'm working with her to get stuff done. But again, my job as her instructor is to help her succeed. It's not to be above her and just make sure she's checking my boxes. So things like that you want to keep in mind. This also comes from one of Tori's syllabi that she put out there. She lists her teaching philosophy. So basically, she says she's into social constructivism and pedagogy. So because of this, in this class, you're going to be asked to participate in group activities because learning is a social process. You'll also be asked to be engaged in self-directed learning. This means you need to actively take charge of your learning. If you don't know something, look it up or ask someone. My role as an instructor is to provide you with support, connect you to resources, help you brainstorm ideas, and offer insights. Your role is to actively engage in learning and ask for help when you need it. Gabrielle, I'm going to give you this.
You're going to give me this?
Yeah.
That's those two.
I know it's a lot of words. Mine's a lot of words too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I really don't work.
So this is mine that I put in, and I copied it very similar to Tori's because I loved hers. As an educator and adjunct instructor, I strongly believe in the idea of pedagogy. I spend a great deal of time planning and selecting resources that I believe can impact student learning while allowing for additional exploration. I'm a firm believer in the notion that you get out of it what you put into it. In this course, the vast majority, remember these are asynchronous, will be done at your own pace within the deadline parameters and independently. And all of this is true. I'm not making anything up here. I tell them I try and provide as many personal or relevant examples as I can, or provide you with resources where I don't have the personal experience. You are expected to actively take charge of your own learning. If you don't know how to use a technology tool, take the initiative to learn it, do an internet search, ask your classmates. As your instructor, my role is to help guide you in your learning journey and provide support, answer clarifying questions, share resources, and expand your knowledge. And I stick to don't text me or email me and say, I don't know how to, make a web page in Canva. Because I'm going to tell you, go to YouTube, I'm not going to do that work for you. And again, I'm very clear about setting that for them. Other things to include. In my syllabus, I also have community expectations. This is a little bit kind of like your netiquette, where you're telling them what you're going to be requiring, how they should respond to each other as well. In my particular courses, I make them blog. So in this one, I'm very clear up front. Courses that are online require a different kind of communication, types of responses, commentary, discussions, and things that you contribute in an online environment shape our opinions and our impressions of you. You're accountable, your teammates, team members. It's easy to be misinterpreted, therefore be very clear in your explanations. You're working at your own pace, you're acquiring new knowledge. It'll be more beneficial to everyone if you're actively participating. And again, I love this last statement too because it's not something we actively think about. I tell them, please be cognizant, you are responsible for your learning. You may need to build in time to collaborate, learn new applications, complete readings and assignments, and contribute. Communication expectations. This is a flyer that I link to inside my syllabus that takes them to a whole different page on this. And basically, this one has just 4 questions. How will I get class information? I tell them how they're going to get it. How, when, and where will I get feedback on work? When and where will lessons be posted? And how can I reach you with questions when you're available to answer? And again, I tell them emails preferred, and I do have that note in here. Please note, as an adjunct instructor, I have a full-time job outside of the course. If you email, please be aware that I might not reply until after business hours. Now, this is communication expectation I set for them. I've seen them also listed here as a learning pack that's included in your syllabus, where basically you're saying, I'm a partner with you, and you are telling them, this is what you could expect out of me. As your instructor, I agree to do these things for you, and as a student, I expect you are going to do these things for me. And that shows them it's not just, you're going to pay attention in class. It's top down. It shows them you're a partner with them, and you are going to be doing things that they should expect as well. All about tone. How to be successful in class. This is something you should think about having as well in your syllabus. These are some ideas. One of the things I'm currently toying around with, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how it would look, I'm toying around with making almost like a template with prompts like this that go in the master course template that you all get for Blackboard so that you can go in and pick and choose individual things and have them there. Like you would have a little module page in your Blackboard course, how to be successful in this class. And you can customize it by, picking and choosing which ones you want. But something I'm thinking about right now as well. This also comes from one of Tori's that was done online because they were doing synchronous sessions for a Zoom class. She gave them some tips, and then she also put some memes next to it that were just related to the concept, and it, again, just a little bit friendlier, a little bit, taking the tone down from authoritative to kind of like more of a buddy-buddy type situation. Employability skills. I include these. I love these as well because, again, and a good reminder, and I'll mention it once again in the next section, Triton students, 75% of them are part-time students, which means they have other things to do outside of coming to class. So by you adding an employability skill into your syllabus, just basically saying, in my class, you're going to learn some soft skills that you could take with you to the next job. Here's what they are. It's just, again, something for them to keep them a little bit more engaged and so on. In this particular case, it's my social media course. So, of course, I mentioned with social media, there's going to be opinions and mindsets. Keep an open mind, watch your opinions, and engage in civil discourse in a respectful manner. Artificial intelligence statements. We'll end with the contents with this. There's a lot of things that we should be thinking about when we're doing that. And again, I do have these resources for you. The trait framework is transparency in AI and teaching. And having a statement like this gives you 4 different choices of whether you allow AI or not. So for example, you could say AI prohibited, 0% of your work can come from AI. You may not use it at all, no exceptions. Or you might say AI assisted, 1 to 50% of the work you turn in can use AI tools for brainstorming and organizing your ideas, but the final product must be your own. Make sure that you disclose. You could say AI supported in these assignments. It can play a bigger role helping with data analysis or drafting, but you still have to make sure that you interpret what comes out and add your own insights. Or AI enhanced, 81 to 100% of your work. AI is fully integrated, use it freely, but remember, you're still expected to think critically and interpret. Having some sort of statement, because it's not going away, they're using it, so think about something like that for your syllabi. This is also great, and I linked to this as well, and I've used this in my materials. We should be modeling for them as well. This is Creative Commons, but it's Creative Commons licenses for AI. So is something that you created made entirely by AI, made by AI and modified by humans, made by AI, modified by humans for profit, modified, made by humans, modified, and so on. And then you see there's 7 of them all together. So there's a link to those. Those are a great resource to have. And then finally, the last one. This is pretty cool. I'll play this, about a minute of this. This is brand new, like literally 2 to 3 weeks ago. Laguna Beach School District, a high school district in California, created a Google extension that basically will allow you to, as a teacher, make an AI statement for an assignment. And then as a student, they can use the extension to make an AI statement. And I'll just show it to you because it's really neat. It's completely free too. you see they have the same type of prompt as well. So it was great. I think it's really neat. And I love that it is developed as well from a school district. I'm going to keep going. I actually lied. I didn't think it would take us this long. I'm going to go through the last section, and then that way you're welcome to stay or you're welcome to take off after that. As a reminder with tips, again, the reminder of our students do have other things to do.
But thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Design for mobile. That's a big one. Make sure that you are designing for mobile. Make a UDL focused syllabus, and this I do have linked here. I want to show it to you real quick. There are some great ways that you can do this on this website. If you look down below, they give you an example of what they mean it should look like, and they tell you what the UDL consideration is. So this is definitely something that you want to think about. That's where I got this video from. Accommodations, examples, and so on. So definitely check that out when you have time. And then if you're not quite there yet, this also, and I gave this to you as a printout in the back of your packet, is a rubric that you can use to take your traditional syllabus and kind of move it to make it more universally designed for all learners. So just keep that in mind as you go. Other tips, signal, segment, and chunk related content. So in Triton's requirements, these are examples of different chunks of content that might go together. You want to make sure that you are signaling things that are important for students. You could have a giant arrow pointing to something that you think students really need to know and pay attention to. But at the very least, make sure that you segment. Put the most important information at the top. So what's interesting is UDL would say, take the accommodations and support and put that up to the top, because they feel that that should be at the top. Most of us put it at the bottom. But if you have really, really important information, you might want to put it near the top. And then finally, last one, send out your syllabus a week before. Don't assume they're going to read it, but just keep it in mind. And then also, most of us will present it day one and then wash our hands of it and then never revisit it again. Keep bringing it up. Keep mentioning it. And don't use the entire full class. Like Chris, you said you break it up throughout the week. That's a great strategy as well.
I kind of like to give them a course calendar that has like all the major deadlines and assignments in the one sheeter, and
Yeah.
stick it on your bulletin board or your door or your fridge or something like that.
Yeah.
Because then they have it as a super handy thing, and they can check stuff off as they
Yeah.
do it. It seems like that's one piece of paper that if I'm going to print something,
Yes.
helpful.
And
with
what
my
I do-
contact info on the top of it, or something.
Contact info, I also put the late policy, because my late policy is 2 points for each day something is late. I've got that clear on there as well. Yeah. Anything that I missed that you do? And thank you for that, Gabrielle.
The only thing I'm not clear on, what do you recommend is a good place for you to host these intro videos or these little things, even the ones that we're just having, I'm just not sure where is a great place to host it so that they can easily grab it without having to go through all the clicks to get into.
You don't want them going through clicks. YouTube. And I'm big on tech, but the only tech tool I pay for is Screencastify to make screencasts, because I put screencasts in every one of my modules every week, upload them to YouTube, and then I direct them to YouTube. And YouTube also gives me an embed code. So then if I, do a Canva page or Blackboard or D12 or whatever, I can upload it directly right off of YouTube.
And then you make it like a non-public YouTube, like
I make it
non-searchable?
unlisted. Yes. Unlisted means you have to have the link in order to view it.
That's great.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah, it's the one
Screencastify,
thing,
right?
Screencastify.
Okay.
It's a Google add-on. I want to say, I think I paid $56 a year. And I think the prices have gone up slightly, but I also love it because it allows you to create GIFs. So with, GIFs, if I want to demonstrate to them how to do something, I can record it as a GIF. Nice and easy. All right, so that is all I have. Look at me, I finished 2 minutes early. I never take the whole time. It's so strange. So different resources for you. Again, I'll get this out to you guys today. I'll send it when I go back to the office. some other templates for you. And remember, a lot of, so let me show you when I come out of here. If you are viewing it like this, just in regular mode, down here, all the links that I have are actually in the notes. So just, make sure when you check it out, you're looking at it this way. All righty. Well, thank you for coming.